The anticipated visit of Poland's president to Berlin is set to be charged with high expectations and potential tensions. As the leader of a country that has had a tumultuous relationship with Germany, President Karol Nawrocki is poised to address the controversial issue of war reparations that stem from Nazi Germany's invasion and occupation during World War II. Why is this significant? Because it challenges not just historical grievances, but also current political dynamics between Poland, Germany, and their wider alliances in Europe, especially in light of Russia's ongoing aggression under Vladimir Putin. Chancellor Friedrich Merz of Germany seems to have a preference for engaging with Poland's centrist Prime Minister, Donald Tusk. However, on this occasion, he will be meeting with President Nawrocki, a nationalist figure supported by the right-wing Law and Justice (PiS) party, which staunchly advocates for reparations from Berlin. The backdrop of this meeting highlights a relationship marked by oscillations between collaboration and contention, wherein economic ties are robust, but historical animosities and political disagreements often surface. Newt Abraham, who coordinates Polish relations at the German Foreign Ministry, articulated the fragility of this relationship, stating, "A half-sentence wrongly uttered can lead to major upheavals." This indicates just how sensitive the communications and expectations are between these two nations. Nawrocki, who brings a unique populist edge to Polish politics, particularly concerning the narrative around Poland's needs and rights, was elected on a platform that notably included demands for reparations from Germany. Such demands have consistently been rebuffed by German officials, complicating diplomatic relations further. Moreover, the shared concern regarding Russian threats has not been sufficient to create unity between Polish leaders and their German counterparts. Even with Russian drones recently entering Polish airspace, which many European leaders considered an aggressive act against NATO, the reparations discourse remains unshaken. Nawrocki has emphasized the importance of addressing these past injustices, stating reparations will not serve as an alternative to historical amnesia, suggesting that Poland, which he regards as a frontline state in NATO, deserves both recognition and restoration for the suffering endured during the war. During his visit to Berlin, Nawrocki is expected to explicitly bring up the reparations issue during discussions, although details of the meeting remain limited since no press conferences are planned. This restriction could curtail any overt manifestations of friction between the two leaders. Interestingly, Nawrocki's relationship with former U.S. President Donald Trump complicates matters as well. Trump endorsed Nawrocki during Poland's recent presidential elections and seems to maintain a closer rapport with him than with Tusk. Trump's engagement with international discussions following the Russian drone incursions involved Nawrocki rather than Tusk, igniting tensions due to the ceremonial yet influential nature of the Polish presidency. This situation raises significant questions about Poland's diplomatic strategies and alignments moving forward. In past years, under Tusk's administration, the push for reparations had quieted, reflecting a more pragmatic stance toward maintaining Poland's trade relationships with Germany, its largest export market. Tusk's government had deemed the legal grounding for such reparations to be shaky, while acknowledging the moral imperatives. On the contrary, Nawrocki supports a considerable financial demand that amounts to 1.3 trillion euros, an unresolved figure from prior administrations. The current Polish government, however, appears to hold a dual approach. While it seeks reparative justice, it does recognize the potential ramifications these demands may have on relations with Germany. For instance, Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski has suggested more symbolic gestures from Germany, such as establishing a center to acknowledge Polish suffering during the war. A recent memorial erected in Berlin acknowledges the Polish victims of the Nazis. Yet whether such gestures suffice remains in question, especially as many Polish citizens rally behind the PiS party's reparations agenda. 54% of respondents in a recent survey demonstrated support for these claims. Given this firm backing from voters, it's unlikely Nawrocki will back down from his reparations demands, regardless of the potential strain on NATO alliances during such fraught times. It raises essential queries about political motivations and the impact of historical narratives on current politics. As noted by Rolf Nickel from the German Council on Foreign Relations, this moment beckons the leaders of Germany, Poland, and indeed Europe to unite in the face of external threats, ignoring the socio-political effects and focusing solely on reparative justice might inadvertently serve Kremlin interests, a notion that should be taken seriously by leaders who wish to avoid playing into the hands of adversaries like Putin. So, as President Nawrocki prepares for his visit, the questions remain. What will be the resonances of his reparations demands? Can Poland and Germany find common ground, or will history continue to divide them?